Hi, everyone, and welcome to today's webinar, 5 Ways to Turn One-Time Shoppers into Repeat Customers. My name is Victoria Cohen, and I'm the Content Marketing Manager here at Cyba. If you're tweeting with us, please tweet it at Cyba_HQ and use the question panel in Zoom to ask any questions that may arise throughout the course of the presentation. We'll have time dedicated at the end to answer those questions. And just so you know, we are recording this webinar for later playback and sharing. So if you missed something or want to share this with a colleague, we will be able to get that recording to you. Now I'd like to introduce our two experts. They are both based out of the Cyba Phoenix office. We have Nicolette Deneen, the Director of Media Strategy, and Emily O'Gorman, Senior Account Manager. And both Nicolette and Emily have extensive experience across verticals, crafting different digital solutions for a range of different clients, big and small, and have a special focus on really building that customer loyalty that everyone is looking for these days. So I'm really excited for them to share their experiences and expertise, both anecdotally and technically, because they are both incredibly knowledgeable about the digital marketing and e-commerce space. So welcome, Nicolette and Emily. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having us.
Excited to be here.
So now we will run through our agenda for the day. And really the big question is, why focus on returning customers? I think we all have a pretty good idea of the business case, but we'll provide some more numbers to really show you exactly why returning customers are worth your attention, especially now. We've actually pulled in some numbers from some McKinsey studies that were just released that show just basically the changing nature of the retail landscape and why it's especially important to think about customer loyalty in your business and how how to meet those consumer changes. Then we'll give you our 5 tips. I won't read through them now because our experts will be going into great detail to explain them and their benefits later on, but we will cover the gamut on crafting irresistible consumer experiences that will keep your customers coming back for more. As always, we will wrap up with our key takeaways, and then we'll take those questions and answer them that you've been putting into our question box in the bottom of the screen. So without further ado, I am going to pass it over to Nicolette to talk all about returning customers.
Definitely. Thanks, Vicki. So to start us off, I really want to look at why focusing on returning customers is so important. So 50% of loyal customers will make more purchases with their preferred company. I know that this is something that I do. I constantly go back to the same 3 companies when making purchases online. Repeat customers are 9 times more likely to convert than first-time visitors. And then it's 5 to 25 times more expensive to acquire a new customer than it is to retain an existing customer. And this is something that Emily and I work on along with the entire Cyba team when we're working with clients, is acquiring new quality customers in hopes that they'll become loyal customers and then cheaper to convert as we move them through the loyalty loop. It's more important than ever to really solidify those returning customers, especially with the climate that we're currently in due to COVID. So let's look at the most recent report from McKinsey and see why those customers are abandoning ship or maybe not as loyal as they once were. So when we're looking at it, one of the main drivers is that they're looking for new shopping methods. This is something that we see even prior to COVID, with people moving their shopping method online or doing curbside pickup, which is more prevalent in light of COVID, but definitely something that was on the forefront beforehand. Other reasons are they're looking for a different brand. There's constantly new brands coming to market. And then looking for different retailer stores or websites And then also experimenting with private labels. So a lot of companies like Target are constantly evolving their private label brands, and that's really giving other brands a run for their money because they tend to be on the cheaper side. And then last but not least, consumers are experiencing and really, experimenting with new digital shopping methods, with so many companies moving to an e-com platform. So those are some of the reasons. But then let's look a little bit further at some other factors that go into why consumers are jumping ship. So in light of COVID, I think that the number one makes a ton of sense. So looking for products that are in stock. A good example of this is with gyms closing, there was definitely a surge on workout equipment to use from your house. So with all of that equipment selling out, it's not as easy for consumers to just walk into their local Dick's Sporting Goods and pick up, free weights or whatever they're looking for. So they're really looking for that ease of looking for any store that has, free weights in stock. And that also plays into convenience too. And we're really going to touch on all of these through our 5 ways to retain customers. But a few other ones are value, looking for the better value. And then last but not least, I think this one's hugely important right now and definitely on the rise, is purpose-driven purchases. So this means that, people are looking to support their local businesses or companies that align with, their ethics. So companies that treat their employees well, things like that. I think that's definitely something that we are seeing as a trend right now.
Definitely. So I think to kind of sum up the last couple of slides and what we're going to be talking through for the next few slides. So if you have a couple, or if you have a loyal customer base, now more than ever, it's important to retain them. And then on the flip side, if you're a smaller company needing to build up that customer base, based on the shopping behavior that we've seen, it could be a really good time to poach some of those customers previously loyal to the other companies by meeting the needs that we're going to be discussing on the next few slides. Okay, so that brings us to our first factor here. So what we really recommend is ensuring having an effortless user experience. So you want to ensure that your site has a seamless and effortless user experience. I think we all can agree that we've come across a site where we couldn't find what we were looking for easily, or maybe the load time was really slow, and it can be really frustrating. So just a few recommendations here. Ensure that there is a quick load time on your site. Make sure that there's intuitive navigation. So make sure that that search bar is easy to find so the customer can type in exactly what they're looking for and achieve their result quicker. And then lastly, make your checkout process quick and simple. I think, it's easier to abandon your cart checkout if there's a ton of fields that you need to fill out. So the more you can minimize that, the more likely that customer will continue on with their purchase. I know, especially if you have like Apple Pay or PayPal set up for that quick checkout, that definitely can help as well. So basically now more than ever, customers have less patience and they're not really willing to jump through extra hoops before completing a transaction. So right here, ASOS is a really great example of a site that has great user experience. So this is the home page. It has it very clearly exactly where the user might want to go next, whether it be shop for female or women or men. At the very top, there is a bar outlining the current promotion with the promo code. And then at the bottom, there's an easy way to get access to customer service, as well as all of the payment methods that are available as well. So 66% of consumers believe that saved time is the most important thing a company can provide for good online customer service. So the key takeaway here is that the ease of use equals saved time, which has become a big priority for consumers during COVID.
I totally agree with this. And I think that this is something that even prior to COVID, companies were focusing on, you know, I think some really great examples are like Nordstrom and Revolve. They really make the whole purchasing process very, very seamless. And actually that ties into our next factor, which is a make recommendation based on behaviors and preferences. So I think this is also so important. And like the examples we just covered, you know, Nordstrom and Revolve, it's really a key differentiator when shopping online. So when you're going to a site that has hundreds and hundreds of products, having a product recommendation engine is crucial. It helps the user save search time. It prevents decision fatigue, which I love because I don't know how many times I've gotten overwhelmed by all of the different products and then panic purchased and ended up returning. And then also this increases the AOV, so that average order value is much higher if you're utilizing a product recommendation engine. What we're looking at here is Lugs, and they're utilizing actually the Saiba on-site technology to recommend products on the product pages itself. So you can see here down at the bottom of the screen, you can see all of those recommended products based on what they're looking at. And all we really need to do this is upload a feed. So any company that has a feed could utilize the Saiba on-site this way. The results for Lugs are a 20% CTR and a 30% conversion rate based on that on-site technology there at the bottom. When you're looking at product recommendations overall, there's a 31% increase in website revenue from product recommendation engines. That's huge for any company, large or small.
Perfect. Okay, so that takes us to our third factor, which is capturing and saving preferences within an app. So apps are really great if your brand can support having an app. It may not make sense for smaller brands, but if you're a brand that can support the app, it's a really great tool. But consumers don't always realize that their favorite brands have an app. So how can you increase exposure? Well, right here with this example with Adidas, we're encouraging the user to download the app to continue their journey. So this is an order confirmation page, and we have this on-site panel on the right that fires and encourages that user to download that app as well. So the apps are a great tool. They save your preferences. So in turn, they make for a quicker checkout, which is a huge convenience for consumers. Another great thing that apps do are send push notifications to offer additional communication touch points for sales and promotions. An app that I really love that I use every week is the Target app. It'll let me know if I have abandoned my cart, and it'll encourage me to come back to continue my transaction. And it'll also send me push notifications when there's new sales as well. So this is a really great stat at the bottom that customers view 4.2 times more products per session within apps and have a higher average order value compared to mobile sites as well.
Awesome. Yeah, I think that's totally true. I think that the Target app is such a great example of them really providing value to for that app to take up storage space on your phone. I'm also a huge fan. And then that brings us to our fourth tactic. So use smart retargeting. This is one that we've talked about in previous webinars as well, and something that the whole Saiba team focuses on for our clients. So what we're looking at here is either display or paid social retargeting based on website traffic and pixels. So we go through and we segment out websites based on the behaviors of the consumer. So we look at the product pages, we look at the cart pages, and then the checkout pages to really hone in on post-purchase segmentation, which is really what we're focusing on this slide. So say that you have a company like Sephora that sells products that usually need to be replenished after a certain amount of time, whether it be 60 days to 6 months. We can actually segment out those users. Say someone purchased face moisturizer, and we can retarget them when we think that they're in need of a refill on that product. And that is done through, you know, audience matching through like website traffic or CRM lists. A lot of these new sites have been set up to collect certain amounts of data that they feed into CRMs, and we actually take that data and retarget off of it. Some stats about this though is 30% of consumers have a positive or very positive reaction to retargeting ads. 65% of consumers said that they are more likely to buy from a retailer that sends relevant and personalized promotions. So those two stats really tie back to, you know, creating that personal experience through, you know, all of the other tactics that we just covered as well. And I know that that definitely appeals to me. It's a little creepy when we're following users around the web, but it's definitely something that's appreciated.
Yeah, I love that. And I love that those two examples were more kind of like educational. Instead of being super salesy, it was kind of like, hey, a reminder to replenish your makeup, or it's time to change your filter for your Dyson.
Oh, definitely. I love that.
Cool. So our last, fifth and final tactic here is to provide exceptional customer service on and offline. So essentially, a customer's online experience must have equal quality offline. So you want to keep them engaged and make them wanting to come back. So this is huge, especially now more than ever with our current situation with COVID. Customers need to feel confident that they will be taken care of by their favorite brands during our current climate. So communication is key for building brand trust. So the first is through promoting flexible policies. And a really good example here is through this Miraval example, which is a resort in Arizona. So travel is really kind of shifting and making sure that their flexible policies are very visible. So you want to make sure that that's very forward. You know, with travel starting to pick back up again, consumers want to feel protected, and having that clear messaging is crucial. So the next one is to address issues proactively. So you want to always have your customer service access very, very quick to find. Kind of going back to what we said before, it's very frustrating when you're on a site and you can't find a customer service phone or another option to get in touch with somebody with customer service. So right here, Dyson's a really great example that provides the phone and live chat options. And then the next two are to be responsive to changing customer needs and to consider the customer experience as one continual activity from start to finish. So that's online and in person. So Bed Bath & Beyond's example here. So a lot of brands have really been shifting to having or offering these alternative ways to purchase. So not only in store if you're not comfortable with that, but you can do a store pickup or curbside pickup in addition to in-store and online. So it's contactless shopping and it's fast and easy. So not only making customer service easy to find on your site, which leads us back to the easy user experience that we discussed earlier, but also providing above and beyond customer service makes a huge lasting impact. So this is a really good stat to look at here, that 91% of consumers won't return after a negative experience with your brand. So it's really important that we keep the positive user experience throughout the entire process to keep them loyal to come back to make more purchases in the future. So the key takeaway here is while great customer service alone does not guarantee customer loyalty, there's really no recovering from poor customer service, especially now. So poor customer service has a greater negative impact on a business than positive. So it's really important to proactively share your flexible policies and address customer concerns with a quick and positive resolution.
Great. Well, Nicolette and Emily, thank you so much for running us through those 5 tips. I'll go through them again really quickly just to wrap up. Your website user experience should be one of your top priorities right now because, as both Nicolette and Emily have mentioned, due to current circumstances, all commerce is shifting to e-commerce, and it's just really important that people can find what they need quickly and to prevent any sort of frustration or defecting to another a competitor. Personalization plays into this in a big way too, with the data that you're collecting from your consumer. The preferences that they're putting forth can be used to really present them with recommendations that are meaningful and that save them time. Those preferences can be saved in an app if you are a company that has a big and robust enough app to really improve upon the consumer experience further. If not, just really, I would say, prioritize on the UX of your website first and foremost. Nicolette mentioned some really great tactics that we use with our clients to retarget them in a way that isn't invasive, that really can be a value add and can remind them of important refills that are necessary. And then Emily brought us home with the connection between online and offline customer service, which is just as important as businesses shift to curbside pickup or the hospitality industry begins to reopen again. Everyone just wants to make sure that they are safe and that they are getting what they need in a timely manner. So again, those two charts really stressing that if you have loyal customers, you've got to do everything you can to keep them, because we do know that that there's a business argument for their value. And if you are new and growing and looking for an opportunity to sneak in when maybe the big dogs are resting on their laurels, this is really a good time to use those tactics to be top of mind. So now we are going to take some questions from you. And so a few rolled in over the course of the presentation. The first one, can you explain how product recommendations are incorporated onto a website? Nicolette, do you want to take that?
Definitely, yeah. So like I said on the slide, we really use the product feed. And if you have a product feed, we can easily incorporate utilizing the Cyba tech through on-site, like we showed with lugs. And this is definitely something that we can help scope out for you and really show what that would look like on your site.
Great. Next question. How do you recommend using email for loyalty? Emily, do you want to take that?
Yes, I can take that one. So we recommend using email for loyalty a couple different ways. So first, through abandonment emails. So that's a tactic or solution that Cyba does offer. So if a user does abandon their experience or abandons their cart, we can remarket them with an email to encourage them to come back and complete their purchase. So we recommend adding that in addition to a drip campaign that would be handled internally by the brand.
Great, and it looks like we have time for one more question. What kind of messaging do you recommend for winning customers back?
This is a great.
Nicolette, do you want to take? Oh,
yeah,
go ahead.
Anyway, perfect. So I think that's a great question. Creative plays such a huge part in the conversion process. So you definitely want to make sure it's personalized, like we talked about, through either products or maybe even calling out specific factors of where they're located in the ads. And then you want to also make sure you're creating some sort of urgency. I know we keep using Sephora as an example, or even Dyson refills, but making sure that there's some urgency around that, like, hey, it's time for you to refill this, or you once purchased this from us, why don't you check out this? So making sure that there's some sort of personalization and urgency in that creative.
Great. Well, it looks like that's all of the time we have for today. Nicolette and Emily, thank you so much for sharing your insights with us. And thank you to everyone who tuned in today. If you have any outstanding questions, please feel free to reach out to us at marketing@cyba.com or tweet at us at cyba_HQ, or connect with us on any of our other social channels. And we hope to see you next time. Thanks so much.